Hey man. I've been thinking about the topic of this video for the last few days, and we will go deep today. It's raining, so I'm filming on the GoPro instead of my good camera, but you'll have to deal with that. Would look really cool on the good camera with the rain, would look really cinematic, but don't want to risk my camera, to be honest, so we'll do it like this. So, I want to talk about vulnerability in a long-term relationship and why it's important. There's this sentiment nowadays, or I mean not even nowadays, but in general, that a good man isn't vulnerable, a good man doesn't talk about his feelings, all that stuff. And honestly, I do partly agree with that. I do think that there is some truth in that. But I do think that this thought is very short-sighted, because it doesn't take into account that that is not the authentic state of being for, honestly, today most men. Now, I also don't say that everyone has to stay in that state. I do think that you can become a person who can deal with his emotions better, and who can deal with his weaknesses better, and that's exactly what we'll talk about here. Because the red pill scene talks about if a man is vulnerable in his relationship and he talks about his problems and he complains and all that stuff, his woman will lose attraction. That's if the man is more of the masculine pole in the relationship and the woman is more of the feminine pole. So I'm in a almost 5.5 year relationship, and there were many situations where I wasn't vulnerable even though I should have been, and there were a few situations where I was vulnerable even though I shouldn't have been. And then, thank God, in most situations I chose the right option. I'll give you a good example. I am someone who can become quite anxious in his relationship. I have something called an anxious attachment style. That simply means my brain often goes to thoughts of, my girl might leave me, my girl might cheat on me because I do something wrong, or because someone else is better than me, or something like this, right? And this especially got triggered when my girl got off birth control a couple of years ago and completely lost her period, completely lost her sex drive. We had very little and very bad sex. And, well, what really happened there was I became extremely anxious because our sex life became so bad, and I started thinking, maybe she's seeing someone else and that's why she's not having sex with me, all these thoughts, right? And then I did research on this stuff. I found out about attachment styles, I figured out how to cure my attachment style, and now I am almost not anxious anymore. Which is crazy to say, to be honest, because this anxiety ate me alive. It really stifled my progress in life because I couldn't focus on work, I couldn't fall asleep at night sometimes, and I literally thought about breaking up with my girl many times because of this. Because I thought, man, if I can't handle this, and my progress in life is more important to me than the relationship, then I need to break up with her. But every time I thought that, I realized that wouldn't actually solve the problem, because it would be the exact same with the next woman. I need to tackle this, right? And so that's what I did. And what I did was I spoke about this with her, and I told her, I have this anxious attachment style. It's this thing where I get really anxious about stuff, and it's not always been like that, but there's certain things that trigger me, like, for example, the stuff with her period, with getting off birth control. And I told her, I need your help to work through this so that we can stay together, so that we can be in this relationship together. I need your help. I literally asked her for help. which most red pill guys already would say, oh, that's way too much. Like she loses attraction immediately. Well, funny thing is, I'm not anxious anymore, and we have way more attraction than we've ever had before. Funny how that goes, isn't it? So let me link this back to authenticity, what I talked about earlier. My younger self was quite a wimpy guy. I didn't stand up for myself. I got bullied. I got bullied by some friends. There was a situation where literally one of my friends, I made a joke, a dumb joke about him not being able to talk to girls, right? And he literally slapped me in front of multiple people. I didn't do anything. I just stood there at maybe 17. Yeah, I think 17. Didn't do anything. And sure, he was a bit bigger than me, and I would have probably lost the fight, but honestly, man, I regret just standing there and not sticking up for myself. And in general, I couldn't handle stress well. I got very stressed very quickly. I got very emotional very quickly. And so back then, me acting all tough wouldn't have been authentic. And now here's why this is important. There's this quote that I love by Aubrey Marcus, who most people would consider a very masculine guy, and the red pill guy, right? And that was on a podcast with Chris Williamson. Same thing for him. Aubrey Marcus said, the persona cannot receive love, it can only receive praise. What he means by that is, when we put on a mask, when we act as someone who we are actually not, we just receive praise to our acting abilities. We don't receive love to who we truly are. And that's kind of sad. That's not what we want. We want to feel loved as we are. Even as the most masculine man, you want to feel loved and you want to feel kind of desired, right? By a woman that you love. And so if we act in ways that are not authentic, if we try to be all tough and not show our emotions, while we do have these emotions and while these emotions do control us, then that's not helpful, neither for us nor for our woman. And now, of course, if we don't have a woman, if we are single right now, then we can work on that and work on that to a point where we get to a authentic persona which doesn't let itself get controlled by emotions. And then we can, of course, find a woman and immediately have the dynamic we want. But for me, and maybe for you, if you're already in a relationship and you're not who you want to be when it comes to your emotions and when it comes to handling your problems, then man, the only thing we can do is work on ourselves now in the relationship while being authentic, while accepting who we are right now. And I'll tell you why that is crucial. I didn't want to say important because this is crucial. The feminine is very intuitive, extremely intuitive. Your girl knows when you're putting on a mask. She knows who you actually are. So she knows when you put on a mask. Even if you've only known your girl for a few months, she can see right through your acting. You're not a good enough actor to deceive the feminine. I think deceive is the right word. So what that means is, if you're not acting authentic, she sees that you're trying to hide something. And if you're trying to hide something, which you are, if you're trying to put on a mask, then that's real weakness. Because then you are so weak that you can't admit your weakness. A strong man has weaknesses, but a strong man is strong enough to openly communicate those weaknesses with himself and with other people. If I was very confident when I was skinny, 17-year-old guy, right? And someone called me skinny, I would have just said, yeah, I am skinny, so working on it. Just fully accepting the fact that I'm skinny, then that would exude confidence. And this is the thing, confidence in my native language, German, Selbstbewusstsein for the German guys, means knowing thyself, knowing yourself. And real confidence then comes when you know yourself and you make yourself known. You act in an authentic way. Then your woman and everyone around you, everyone else around you will see, oh, he's actually acting in a mature way. He's not trying to hide his problems. He's dealing with his problems. He's dealing with his emotions. He's dealing with everything he's going through, and he's sharing that actively. He's confident enough to share his weakness. Wow. Now, one more thing. If you're in that stage right now, where you're not that confident guy, and where you have vulnerabilities and weaknesses that you perceive as weaknesses because you don't know how to work through them and you don't want to share them, and not you don't want to share them, and you do want to share them, you don't want to talk about them, don't just talk about them with your girl. Your girl if you're the masculine guy and she's the feminine woman, she just wants to jump around. Bro, my girl just wants to jump around and sing and do yoga and eat good food and go on hikes and swim in the lakes and listen to music. She doesn't want to do anything else. She doesn't want to listen to my problems. And sure, sometimes there are situations where she has to, because with the anxiety stuff, right? I had to tell her, and because that was important for the relationship. But besides that, go to your friends with your problems. And not one friend, because we all have that one best friend. But if we put all of our problems onto that friend and we tell him everything, he might not be ready for it. My best friend is someone who I can literally unload everything on, and he can handle it. Same thing for him with me. But you might not have that friend yet. If you do, great. But even then, talk about different topics with different friends. And talk about some topics, especially resolving your relationship and your woman, right? Talk about those with your girl. But everything else, talk about them with your friends, maybe with your parents if you trust them enough. If you have a good enough relationship with them, maybe with siblings, maybe with other people, maybe with a mentor you have, right? But don't unload everything onto your girl. Sometimes you need to, and then it's completely okay, and then you should talk about this stuff with your girl. Because like I said, she knows when you're not talking about stuff with her out of anxiety, out of fear of her losing attraction. That's what I always thought. Oh man, what if I tell her that I'm so anxious, and what if she then thinks, oh, he's a wimp, I'll get another guy. He might not be the guy I'm looking for. But the moment I talked about this stuff with her, I realized, actually, that was the bravest, strongest thing I could have done. Because I actually admitted that I have a weakness, and with that weakness was rendered obsolete. It wasn't a weakness anymore because I could talk about it. It's like kind of this saying of like, if you can't see an alligator, then you're not in danger. You're in danger when you can't see him. When you can see your problems, when you can admit your problems, you're not in danger. But when you try to hide your problems from yourself, from your own consciousness, and from the consciousness of other people, then you're in trouble. I hope this video helped you. If you want to get more help from me and learn more about how you can improve your relationship and actually get to the relationship that you deserve, then I'm building a free community for men who are in relationships or men who are single but who already have quite some experience with women. There's a lot more advice from me in there. I post almost daily on there, make a lot of detailed posts about how I interact with my girl and all that stuff, tell stories, and just try to help you. And there's a lot of other guys in there. We're almost 50 guys at this point, which is amazing. And all mature guys, literally all, not necessarily age-wise, but consciousness-wise, all mature guys. Crazy. And I'm so happy with where the community is going, because it's rare that someone asks for advice. most people just share their lessons, which is amazing to see. That's what I mean with maturity. They give advice instead of just asking like, oh, help me. And of course, asking for advice when you need it, being vulnerable with other men in this case, is a good thing if you actually need advice. So yeah, man, you can check that out. I highly encourage you to do that. And besides that, I wish you all the best. I gotta go to a little birthday party right now. And yeah, wish you all the best, bro. Life is not always easy, but we'll get through this together. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.